This is the Testosterone Podcast with Noel, Keith, and Steve. And now, brace yourself for greatness.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 53 of the Testosterone. Hey, it's Keith. Steve and Noel is with me. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. And we also have the man, the myth, the doctor who doesn't want to say his name without the doctor because he went through 4 years of what without it? It's Dr. Bingo.
Dr. Bingo.
What's up, Ryan? How are you, man?
Welcome back, Ryan.
I'm well. I really don't make a big deal about it. Y'all are the ones that make a big deal about it.
If I went to school that long, I would be making a big deal about it, man. It'd be.
I would have been like, there's a period at the end of that.
Yeah,
you know,
my kids would call me doctor. Doctor?
Yeah, no kidding.
Don't call me dad, boy. Call me doctor.
I just steal the line from Austin Powers where he says, I didn't spend 4 years of freaking evil school to be called Mr. Evil.
Man. I'd have a t-shirt that'd say that.
Yeah, no kidding.
I would totally wear it.
So, man, we're glad to have you back on, Ryan. So,
well, thanks for having us.
No, man, you are. Congratulations on winning the Pick 5 Challenge, Steve. Turning it over to you, man. Give us a rundown of how good he did.
Absolutely. So, as y'all recall, we had a 14-week Pick 5 Challenge for the college football season, and gotta give Ryan credit. His record was exceptional. Out of 70 games, he picked 52 games correct. He went 52-18 for the season. And
how cool would it have been if it was 53?
Oh man, that would have been awesome. Yeah, you did one episode too late there, but he actually edged out my dad by one game, which I forgot about that little fact until I looked at the record a little while ago. But so Ryan, wow. We're curious. 52 games out of 70 correct. That's Vegas money right there. And
and I must say that to go against what y'all had described the competition as, I get to hold my integrity as a Tech fan and the reward, because every time y'all put Tech up on the block, I chose Tech. And that did not help me one iota.
That's where you missed the 53.
That's where I missed the 53. That's where Tech missed the 53 for me.
Wow. So how'd you do it?
Yeah.
So, well, it's you got to change your strategies because every week everything is different. You go from the very week one, and you're as clueless as everybody else. And I can imagine people in Vegas are pretty nervous about week one because they have to make some big decisions about these games and the line and whatnot. I think the first 2 weeks was where I made my biggest mistakes and probably my most losses were in those first 2-3 weeks. But you're 2-3 weeks into the season, and then once you get past that, suddenly you got some stats to work with. I mean, they're still not very dependable, but I just went with the basic points for, points against, yardage for, yardage against, just looking at some basic stuff. And it wasn't really until the middle of the season that I could really get in depth, because you got common opponents, you've got conference opponents, you've got old rivalries in there, and looking at different things. Into the season, I started looking more at injuries because you got in the Big 12, you got a lot more injuries. In the SEC, there's a lot fewer injuries, which I thought was interesting. So you got kind of this, like Alabama. I mean, they pretty much ended the season with the same team that they started with. Tech ended with a completely different team.
Yeah, totally. That's for sure.
And so you just got to take that into account. Suddenly, the stats are not that important for people that you're replacing, especially if it's on offense or if it's a very important position against the team that they're going for on defense. So, if you're going up against a team that passes a lot, if the cornerbacks are being replaced, you gotta know that you're gonna have a pretty weak defense. Versus if they run a lot and your cornerbacks are out, well, that's not as much of a big deal.
Yeah. Ryan actually had 4 weeks where he went 5-0, and that's pretty much the difference maker. He actually went 5-0 2 weeks in a row, and that's when he really started to take over the whole whole contest, and even better, he picked Ball State to win, and that's always a good thing.
Hey,
Did.
I mean, that started the dynasty right there.
Balls, he really just turned it around with Ball State.
Yeah, he had a twofer there.
Yeah, I got to say, looking at the points for and points against, and really just going off of that stat, all of the non-Division I games that were thrown out there were pretty rock solid for me.
Awesome.
That's
So
awesome.
basically, you had a Gray's Sports Almanac from Back to the Future to help you with it. That's what I heard.
I went to several different sports places, and honestly, I used a lot of ESPN because they keep a lot of that track for you. And I found that the division, everything that was non-Division I, I mean, there really is no home field advantage, unlike Division I football is.
It's ironic that the ESPN game predictor worked for you because it didn't work for Noel or Keith. So
I didn't use the game predictor. I didn't use the game predictor. I just used the stats that they had.
Well, that makes more sense then.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. No, don't ever put your hat in somebody else's predictor.
Well, see, that's why we lost, Keith.
I should never put my
Whoa, hey.
What did you say?
Maybe if you put a hat on the predictor.
Okay. I just got my tongue twisted. Sorry.
You just had to bleep that out.
Keith censored himself.
I did.
That's awesome. Don't ever put my beep in the thing.
In the thingy.
Oh, golly. Fun stuff.
That is good. Well, congratulations, Ryan.
Well, thanks.
Hope you enjoy the swag.
Good work.
Yeah, man.
Well, I've enjoyed this T-shirt that all y'all signed, and I don't know how y'all resurrected Spike Dykes to sign it, but it's been cool.
It was tough.
The airplane tickets that came along with it, and the tuxedo.
Yeah.
I'll use it well.
Just the top of the tuxedo.
Yeah.
Good.
That's our trademark.
Yep.
That's right.
Nobody needs pants.
With jorts.
Jorts.
How'd you know I still wear jorts?
Ryan.
Hey.
You haven't bought a new pair of clothes since 1992, okay?
Oh my gosh.
Those white sneakers.
Yeah, so Ryan is talking to us from the microphone that he won as part of this challenge. Keith, what else did we what else did we hook him up with?
So he had a Yeti tumbler with the Testosterone logo on it, a T-shirt, the Samsung Go mic that he's talking about, and also 365 days of football trivia.
Nice
calendar. So
this stuff is legit.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it, man.
I'm going to win this thing next year. Give me another round of this.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come up with a different gift set next year, right?
Expect to see that tumbler or that Yeti at Mancation.
Yeah. I tell you what, I kind of wanted to make one for myself after we made that. That was pretty neat.
It is pretty cool.
That's very cool. Well, we're proud of you, man. It was a long journey, so we wanted to make it worth the gift. So, or for the prize, I guess. So congratulations,
nice job.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So before we get into other things, tell us how we, the first time we interviewed you, we talked a little bit about your craft, of being an optometrist. Any new things that you'd like to talk about in that area? Kind of throwing you on the spot here. We didn't talk about this, but.
No, you didn't talk about this at all. We spent like 20 minutes preparing for this.
I know, which is exactly why I wanted to ask it.
Dang.
20 minutes is 20 minutes more than we normally spend.
That was a lot. So. I mean, we have a whole lot of material that I've never seen before. It's pretty fun.
Well, yeah, sure. If there's one thing I wish I could tell everybody when you go to your eye doctor, please, for the love of heaven, and all that is good and holy in what you do, when you describe your vision, please don't ever, and I'm going to break my own rule because my own rule is I never use this word because my patients always use this word, and I am so tired of this word. I don't know what I'm going to do if I hear this word again, but please don't use the word crisp. I don't know what it is about that word. Everybody uses that word.
Crisp?
No, golly, stop. But it's like nobody has a thesaurus. Nobody can describe their vision any other way as to how crisp it is or how not crisp it is. And
oh my gosh.
It really drives me up a wall. And I know I'm not the only one.
That's funny.
So basically what you're telling me, Ryan, is Noel.
I'm on the edge here. That's what I'm saying.
Crisp is the optometrist version of discharge.
Oh man, that's so gross. So we were walking around the campus that we visited this past weekend, and somewhere it had the word discharge, and Lynn and I are walking around, and we're walking with this. Anyway, we're on the tour, and she just stops. She goes, "Look, discharge." 15 people turn around and look at us, and we were both laughing our butts off at the word anyway.
Oh my god,
it was a long day. Anyway,
so don't use that word. So that's the guide of today. That's your suggestion of today.
Nope.
I'm telling you, man, that word really bothers me.
It's good to know.
Much more than it should.
Fair enough. I'm never going to tell my optometrist Crisp again.
You very easily could make their day by not using that word.
Fair enough. Okay. Is this a common thing? I mean, like among the dark optometrist web, do they talk about this or?
Dark web.
You know, what's interesting is whenever I bring it up, because we just had a big CE convention here this past weekend. And
it would be CE, wouldn't it, for an eye doctor convention?
What?
CE, is that on purpose?
Continuing education.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I see. I get it.
Oh,
I get
no.
I see what you did there, Noel.
No. And just for the record, guys, we're already sick and tired of what's going to happen next year, with the next year being 2020.
Oh God!
Oh yes,
yeah, man.
Yeah.
This is the year you've been waiting for, Ryan.
We've already worn that thing way through years ago. We're already tired of next year.
I bet the eye doctors that graduate in the year 2020 will be the best class ever.
I bet they will.
You know,
technically it would be the year of the 2015 when they graduated.
You eye nerd.
Brian, last week actually had an eye exam, and first time I've had my eyes checked since I found out I was diabetic, and I was blown away by the amount of technology that's available now. And you know, the last doctor I saw was back in Dallas, the one you referred me to, and I just found this one here in Anchorage, and they have like this cool scanner where it does like this 3D image of all the way around your eyeball, and it's really impressive. And I had seen that machine before, and it's I'm just blown away by just how much technology is available. And
there are things that are out there that, and I have in my own office, and it's very common. It's considered the golden standard that I never dreamed that I would ever even possibly see in my career, and yet here it is, just as common as everybody having it. It really is. I agree. It is pretty amazing what we have out there.
So cool.
Do you have any tools that can see Uranus?
That's a good question.
Better, like
that's the wrong body part, dude.
A 3D version,
like some binoculars on steroids or something like that.
You're going to need a more powerful microscope for that to see through the eye.
And let's hope that one's not crisp.
Yeah.
We'll accept.
I'm beating a pillow every time you guys say that word, by the way.
Oh my gosh. You know what the name of it? I already know the title of this episode. This is easy.
Yeah.
Oh, crap, that's funny.
I may be leaving Mancation early this year.
Oh man. So we can talk a little bit more about that before we get done.
Yeah, we do.
So Noel, turning the gears a little bit, I know that you had talked about a subscription service that you tried around Valentine's Day, kind of just a little sampler that you had done. So I want to turn it over to you. Tell us a little bit more about this and kind of the idea behind it and what it was.
So sometime in, let's see, January, I was on Facebook and saw an ad for basically a subscription service called Datebox, and inside this month's box was like a couple games and a stuff to make like homemade pretzels and like these cards and stuff. And so we broke out the game, which was like a mini version of what do you call that when you stack the wood blocks and stuff? Jenga. Yeah, it was like a mini game of Jenga, and each of the Jenga blocks that you pull out had a number on it, and the number on that corresponded to use on the cards to read out like these questions and stuff. And so the cards could either be a truth or a dare. And
oh Lord,
yeah. And so they started off
truth or dare, the married version.
Yeah, and it started off. We were being really nice with each other and not doing the dares. And some of the dares was one of them, like she had to FaceTime somebody and pick her nose the whole time. I did not make her do that. Another one, she was supposed to call Walmart and ask them if their flour was harvested in a humane way or something like that. Like just call and ask stupid questions. And there were several of them that we were like, there's no way in heck we're ever going to I never would make her do that. Otherwise I know I'd sleep outside. But we started kind of as the night went on, we were laughing our butts off at some of the questions that we had. They were great conversation starters. Some of them were kind of thoughtful questions. Some of them were just funny, and some of them were kind of embarrassing. But it was a lot of. We had a really good time. We were laughing our butts off, and then we stopped being nice to each other. And I ended up having to make a fort at one point out of blankets, and had to sit in the fort to play Jenga. And then at one point she had to break dance, so that was fun. But it was fun. We had a good time. Like we didn't make the pretzels because we're both on our diet, so we didn't make the pretzels. Yeah. But we'll do that later. But it was a lot of fun. I got to say, I will probably continue it for another month or so just to kind of see what the next month brings. But for the first time doing it, I'd say it was a success. It was pretty fun. So
when you're looking at the website for this, do you see other themes of these boxes? So like, did you have an idea of what was coming?
No, not really. Like you had to basically you answer a bunch of questions about what kind of activities you like to do. Like if your ideal date is like staying at home, or if your ideal date's like going out and, going and do something, like going to a concert, or you just kind of answer a whole bunch of questions about you and your date and kind of the things that you find fun and stuff like that. And they kind of put together, a box that contains things that would be of interest to you. So
very cool.
And they did a pretty good job with us because we like to play games and joke around and eat and stuff. So
I was going to say that set almost like matched y'all's personality.
It really does.
When you were talking about, I could totally see y'all doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It fit. They nailed us, and it was the first one out of the box. So it was pretty fun.
Nice. You'll have to give us updates on the next one that comes out. And let us know what that one's like too. Yeah. I'm curious now.
And another thing I like about it is that I scored a lot of points with the wife. Yeah, so she didn't. It wasn't her idea; it was mine, and she thought it was pretty cool. And at least once a month, at least we're going to have a date, which is in busy life like ours is, with kids and whatever else and everything that's going on, kind of forced you to kind of at least stop and spend some time with your honey. So
yeah. So did you surprise her with it, or did she know it was coming before Valentine's Day?
She knew it was coming. I told her about it, and because I didn't want that to get a question about what the heck is this on your credit card for date box.
Right. Good call.
Yeah. But she thought it was pretty cool. She'd never. We told one of our friends at church about it, and they were like, "Yeah, I read about. I saw that, but I didn't sign up for it. I was kind of hoping." Could find somebody to be a guinea pig. And so we're kind of, we told them on Sunday kind of what our experience was and everything. So it was pretty cool. We'll do it for another month or two and let you know how those go.
Yeah, it sounds cool. A really good idea.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Look at
Pretty
and like you say,
look at the website now. I mean, it's pretty affordable. I mean, she's $39.99 is cheaper than any date we normally do. So
yeah,
that's
actually,
cheaper than dinner.
I found a somewhere. There's a bunch. You have to look on the web, but there's all sorts of discount codes and stuff for it. And I want to say I got mine for like half price. I think I got mine for like $20.
Cool.
So, if I can find the discount code I use, I'll share it with you guys. But
yeah, definitely.
Anyway, yeah,
that sounds like fun. Look forward to hearing more about that. So it's pretty cool.
Yep.
It's very hard to find time to slow down and spend time with each other. I mean, Noel, you know it. Ryan, you know it. We've all doing the kid thing, and Steve, you're traveling a lot, newlywed stuff. There's so much going on in all of our daily lives. It's you got to figure out the time to just say, okay, pause, you and me now. No work, no nothing else. It's hard to do. Really is.
I was surprised when I was reading about it. I was like, "What? Why the heck would we need conversation starters?" I mean, heck, we've been married for 21 years and been together for almost 24 years. So, but I was surprised when we sat down and started asking questions from some of the conversation starters about how many of these questions I never asked her before, and the conversations that started up from that were pretty funny. And I mean, I felt like I got to know her a little bit better, even though, like I said, we've been married for so long. It was pretty neat. So they were very.
So give us an example. What was one question?
One of them was like, "What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done, or what's the most mean thing you've ever done to another person?" And that was revealing. I'm like, geez, my gosh, geez. One of them was, I'm trying to remember. I wish I'd have brought the cards. I could kind of read some of these, but one of them was like, "What's the most embarrassing thing your parents have ever caught you doing?" Which was funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So and then one was like, what's the most, what do you hate the most about family holiday gatherings and stuff like that? So that was kind of dicey, but that was fun.
Yeah. So what was the most embarrassing thing your parents caught you doing, Noel?
That was my question to her, and I will not be sharing her answer. It was pretty funny though.
Yeah, we only want to know what your answer is.
Yeah, no, but it was pretty funny. We said at the beginning, like, look, we'll tell the truth no matter what. We're not, not if we don't. There's not we're basically just look. This is just gonna be, be transparent with each other, I guess. And it was fun. We had a good time. So
that's awesome.
I enjoyed it.
Sounds good. So speaking of spending time, carving out time, it's important to carve out time for our kids. It's important to carve out time for our wives. And it's also important to carve out time for ourselves, right? And so another reason that's great to have Ryan on this episode is he's kind of spearheading this year's Mancation with the locations and everything. And back in episode 10, if you want to learn a little bit more about what we call Mancation, please listen to that because it gives us a good rundown with some really cool snippets from some of the guys who attend. But Ryan, give us a little rundown of what the plan is for Mancation this year for everybody, and an idea for our listeners of things that might want to try to slow down and catch up with their friends in the busy everyday life.
Ooh, well, the agenda is really no different than any other time. It's we find a place that is convenient and as central to everybody as we can. Try to find the most convenient time for everybody because, we want to try to get as many folks there as possible. And we sort out, kind of split up the state of Texas into different quadrants. And every quadrant kind of decides, well, we're going to serve this meal and we're going to serve this that time. And it's up to that kind of group to get that meal together and bring it. Everybody brings a steak so we can cook steaks on Saturday night. Pretty much the rest of the time is just kind of catching up and remembering better days, good days, days to come. Yeah, it really is amazing how you can just sit around a fire all day long, just talking, and the weekend just goes by like it was a couple hours.
True.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new game for this year too, Ryan. If I remember correctly, this year the new game is how close can you get to the park ranger?
I'm getting kicked out.
Okay, you got me. So, okay, guys. So part of the thing you got to do is you got to make sure all the campsites are together. You don't want to be down at having one campsite at one end and all have to walk all the way across the. So I had to get 3 campsites together. We start moving things around, and this is the first year that you can pre-assign a campsite before you show up, because in the past it's always been, hey, first come, first serve. Now you can pre-assign. And so I called, and I'll be doggone if the 3 campsites I can get together, the only 3 campsites I can get together, are not, 50 feet from the permanent residence.
That may be stretching it a bit.
That may be stretching it.
If we were smart, we would definitely feed the park ranger while we're there.
That's not a bad idea.
I mean, quite honestly, guys, I think the only noise that's going to disturb the park ranger is Noel snoring.
Yeah.
It's not true.
The middle of the night, everybody is going to be like, is that an earthquake? It's not Noel, it's all of us.
There are bears in Texas.
Yeah, what happened? Oh, man, that's funny. So, yeah, it'll be, but in all seriousness, looking forward to it coming up here in about a month and a half. It's not far at all. Almost 2 months, about 2 months. So,
7 weeks.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to everybody, and I plan on bringing some microphones. We're going to catch some live action stuff of this and share it on an episode for sure.
You really don't like to have a lot of sponsor or subscribers on this, do you?
No, not at all. So far, we've offended the nerds when Steve welcomed all the nerds after the tech episode, and
What's the nerds? Listen to this.
Welcome, nerds.
I insulted Darth Vader, and then
yeah. So we've done the what was your joke?
Master Vader.
Master Vader.
Classic, man.
It's good stuff. So, but no, in all seriousness, Ryan, thanks for coordinating this. We're looking forward to it, and be not too long. But for everybody listening, man, if y'all again take time out for your wives, take time out for your focus on your kids. Like that's pretty much 90% of our lives, right? But always make time out for you and your camaraderie and your comrades, because that refills your soul for the next day, for sure. So we're looking forward to it. So
my wife got mad at me for kicking the dropped ice cubes on the refrigerator.
Really?
But now it's all water in the fridge.
Ah.
You were worried I was going to run out of stuff.
Why would I have ever thought that? Gosh,
never doubt.
Actually, before we get too far into the jokes, it kind of jogged my memory when Steve was telling me about the eye doctor he went to, because it actually turns out I do have a colleague up there, and I was curious if he had seen that colleague, and I'm sure he would know if he had seen this colleague or not, because he hangs these weird pictures on the walls, and they're so amazing. They actually disorient people, and they kind of lose spatial awareness, and people falling over. Wow. Yeah, he calls himself the optical illusion.
Oh my gosh. Painful but good.
It was.
So a weasel walks into the bar, and the bartender says, "Wow, I've never served a weasel before. What can I get you?" "Pop," goes the weasel.
It's simple but effective.
Yes. Dang it. Keith, was that really your joke?
I literally had it ready to go. I'm scrambling now. That was awesome.
That's you guys are the same website.
Yeah, if I wonder if Apple comes out with a self-driving car, will it have windows?
Very nice.
That's funny. Yeah. You know what? It would have been amazing if John Lennon had invented that device that you put in your front door to secretly see who's on the other side.
What's it called?
Just imagine all the peepholes. Boom.
That's good.
Shakalaka.
Nice.
Hey.
Nice.
Well, remaining in the spirit of my my profession here, did y'all hear about the guy recently that fell in the well?
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah, he really didn't see that well.
Oh, that sounds like a Noel joke.
It really does.
Back to the I know he means well.
Yeah, that was last week.
Oh, that's a good one.
So here's a question for y'all. What do you call a fly without wings?
Fly without wings.
I don't know.
A walk. Thank you.
That's funny.
That's good.
No, it's not. That's terrible.
Right? I know. That's what makes it better. I was having to reset my password today, and I needed a password that was 8 characters long. So I picked Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh man. Good night for jokes.
Okay, so I got to throw this one out here because while we're telling these jokes, my daughter is in the other room and she's texting me a joke. Ready?
Yeah.
So she says, "I named my horse Mayo, and Mayo neighs."
Wow. Wow.
Hey, got to give it to her for throwing one out there.
You know, it's interesting. You talk about your daughter. I don't really tell too many people this, but my my daughter's actually got some pretty strong allergies, and as it turns out, she's actually allergic to certain numbers.
Really?
Yeah, because she goes all over the place going, I can't even.
Ugh.
That would have been a good time to a teenage correspondent.
It
Right?
really would have been.
That's a
Hey,
good one.
Ryan, you're a doctor. What is the medical diagnosis for owning too many dogs? A rover dose.
Oh my goodness.
When is this going to stop? Because
I think we should now. Oh, wow. That's a good one to stop on before we overdose.
Oh,
yes.
we just overdosed on jokes, man.
We did.
If you can call them that.
Yeah, or something, right? Well, who's taking us out? This is good.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Great to have you back. We're looking forward to seeing you at Mancation here very soon. To all of our listeners, I hope you enjoyed this one. This one was one of our most off-the-wall episodes, but we're going to love it. But we're going
to. Off the wall,
had
you mean
fun.
awful.
Yeah.
So
I don't think I'll be setting any records with you guys. Sorry.
you never know.
You never know.
Yeah. So if our listeners are looking for mindless humor, then you're welcome. You just
our humor is crisp, and our jokes
absolutely
are not.
Well played. Well played. And next week we've got a really cool guest.
Ooh, tell us about him.
So next week we have another guy named Keith, and this is going to be the first time we have another podcast joining us. So Keith is the founder of the podcast Dinger Derby, which is the podcast all about Texas Tech baseball. And so since we did a little bit of a baseball preview the last couple of weeks, he has been nice enough to come on and join us. And so we're going to have him in our next recording and look forward to hearing a little bit about, the guy is a database of all things baseball and all things Texas Tech. So it's going to be a really good, fun start to the season. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
So from all of us here at the Testosterone Zone podcast, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you all next week. Take care.
Hey, thanks again for listening to the Testosterone Zone. We sure had a blast visiting with you. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe, leave us some feedback, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
All Testosterone Zone podcast episodes are written and produced by Noel, Keith, and Steve unless otherwise noted. The opinions expressed in the Testosterone Zone podcast are our own and not those of our employers, families, parents, kids, dogs, cats, your mom, or any other entity Noel, Keith, or Steve are affiliated with now, in the past, or in the future, or ever.
Hey, what is Rush's favorite streaming platform?
Oh, Lord. I don't know.
Netflix.
Are we starting the Jad jokes now?
No, this is just a warm up.
Because I think that's going to be your high point.
What do you be careful what we say about Russia, because I'm within like first strike range with missiles from Russia right now.
That's true. Dude, they can hit you with rocks, okay?
I tell you what, if we start a war over that joke, then there's something really screwed up in the world.
Be the straw that broke the camel's back right there. That's it.
That's it. Throw the vodka. Throw the vodka.
That joke not funny. You must die.
Make sure we get all Molotov cocktails at Steve.
So, Noel, is there something that you want to tell Ryan?
Uh-oh.
The trip?
Yep.
The camping trip? Ryan, how did you pick the sites that we ended up with, man?
What the hell?
Am I in trouble?
I mean,
no,
based on our past history, it's all about location.
Yeah.
You know,
we're like the closest to Mom's house, man. Or to the park ranger's house.
I don't think it's gonna be so bad. I mean, we're not that rowdy. I mean,
we're in bed by 9.
I mean, the older we're getting, I mean, the more well behaved we are.
Y'all remember that camping trip, the one when I put the empty bottle of whiskey in the fire and the cork shot out and hit Tim in the nads? We should not tell it while we're recording.
Oh, are we recording?
Yeah, we may have to pause that one.
We can pause that.
Yeah, that's what the edit button's for too. I'm good.
Okay. Well, I was kind of talking unfiltered there.
No, it's fine.
That's fine. Don't even worry about it. I filter everything anyway. Trust me. You should hear some of the other episodes.
It'll be edited.
That could be episode number 100, the unedited version.
Oh my gosh.
It'll be like the end of our podcast, dude. This will be like, this is our final episode. Throwing it out.
This is gonna be a great episode.